Chapter 2. Hours later, as the sun was setting, Anders stood on the roadside thanking a truck driver. "No worries," the driver said, staring at Anders' hands. "What you been holding, though?" Anders laughed as he moved the can behind his back. He looked up and down the country road. "I don't know," he said. "I think I found it." "You think?" The driver looked at him. "Right, well," he said. "The Old Crow isn't far. You can pretty much see it." He leaned through his open window, as though trying to see the can. "You out of town, boys," he said, shaking his head. "You always got secrets." He stepped on the gas, dust sprayed from his tires, and Anders backed up into the waist-high grass, walking now in the shadows of the trees. With the Old Crow in view, he crossed over, seeing John on the balcony and lights glowing from the bar area below. Country music played. Drunken voices spilled into the street, blasting around him as he entered. "Anders!" Dickie was calling him from across the bar. "You boys got my rent?" Dickie was their fat, smelly landlord. "Anders! My money! My rent!" Anders continued, as though he'd heard nothing. He ran up the stairs and slowed on the corridor. "Anders!" Dickie said, following him, coughing on his cigar on the stairs. "My rent!" Anders looked down the corridor, saw Dickie coming, and entered his room. "You're back," John said. "Keep your voice down," Anders said. "Dickie is outside." He staggered over clothes, bags, suitcases, working his way through the small and narrow room, moving between kitchen top and bunk beds. Bang, bang, bang. "I want my money!" "Answer the door," John said. "No," Anders said, joining him on the balcony. "He's just drunk. He'll go soon." He stared at an old tree edge of the balcony. "Has it been?" "What?" John said. "What?" He was a big man, a stout man, with cropped hair like a crew cut, chubby cheeks and small piggy eyes. "You mean that overgrown rat you're obsessed with?" "It's a possum, John." "Whatever. It came earlier. I put water on it." "Why?" "Because it stinks. I don't want it here." The banging had stopped. They listened to Dickie retreating in the corridor and sat together at the table on the decking, Anders looking at the can, placing it between his feet. "Where's Andrew?" he said. "Did you get away together?" "He's downstairs with a crank. Some guy called Steve, a right weirdo." "I see," Anders said, and he watched John strike matches and light candles on the table. "The sandflies are out," John said. "They've come up from the river, loads of them, mozzies too. It's bad enough sleeping in that filthy bed with those filthy bed bugs." He paused, feeling his face with his fingers. "Something landed on me." He sprayed insect repellent across his forehead and looked at Anders. "How can you be vegetarian?" Anders said nothing. He just stared at the can on the floor. "Well, come on then," John said. "Where's the goods?" "Goods?" "Show me, lad. Tell me." Anders got up. He walked into their room, dropped his vest into an open suitcase, and leaned over the kitchen sink, bare-chested, his body tanned and hairless, his arms thin and slender. He wet his face and drank from the tap. John watched him, now picking up the can. "What's this?" he said. "It's something." "Tell me then." John turned the can over. "We're on the brink of starvation, and you take this." He bashed the table with it. "Is this a prank?" "I didn't mean to." "Is this it?" "Leave it, John. We're tired." "I'm leaving nothing, lad." He watched Anders through the open balcony doors. "We had a good plan going for us." "It was your plan." "Yes, and we pulled straws," John said. "We all had our roles to play. I didn't enjoy pretending to faint, and I bet Andy didn't enjoy fighting that guy, but we played our part to keep the shopkeepers distracted for you. all you had to do is take some grub. You had it easy. John sucked his lips, looking redder than usual. Why do we have this? He said. Why am I holding a can of donkey shit? I panicked. Obviously. But this wasn't part of my plan, John said. I wanted rashers and chops. That boy was on me, chasing me. He wouldn't give up. A cooked chicken would have been nice, John continued. We're starving. Where's the meat? I'm a vegetarian. You seem to forget this. What about cheese then? John said. You vegetarians eat cheese for a living. I took what I could. You took this because you're spineless. Because you want my farts to smell vegetarian, like yours. You're being ridiculous, Anders said, and he remembered how they'd pulled straws, how the role of shoplifter had fallen to him. He remembered walking around the shop, touching things, his face pale, his body riddled with panic and hunger. I didn't want to. He returned to the balcony facing the car park below. It was your idea. But I've been waiting nearly 6 hours. Just eat it and shut up. I won't eat that. I'm a northern lad. Us northern lads eat roast beef sandwiches and Yorkshire puddings. But we don't eat creamed corn. Christ, what sick bastard does? Okay, then have the egg in the fridge. I don't want the egg in the fridge. We tested it in water. It began to float. Anders was laughing, and with his face turned away from John, he looked into the tree. The possum will come soon, he thought, but there was no sign yet, just leaves, branches, darkness, and he squinted while staring up at them. It was a good plan, John said, now standing, speaking close to Anders' ear. Give me bread and butter. He spoke excitedly. He spoke as though ordering dishes in a restaurant. Give me hamburgers with fried onions and brown sauce. Daddy's brown sauce. I don't want creamed corn. He shot out his last sentence before repeating it loudly. I don't want creamed corn. And I don't want to be here in Rockhampton with you, living above this filthy pub. He faced John. I don't want to rob my food or work a kill room or wait to be vaccinated for God knows what. Don't raise your voice to me, John said. If Lindsay had paid your wages, we wouldn't be in this mess. Call him tomorrow. Get that money. Now he paused. Great, he said sullenly. I'll fetch water for the rat. What? No, why? Anders turned, glancing over his shoulder. No, John, leave it. Quickly, he shut the balcony doors and blocked them with a chair. Don't be nice to it, John said over the sound of the tap. How can you be vegetarian? I love it, Anders said. I look forward to it coming. He smiled. He watched it on the branch above him, its tail snug around itself, its pink nose sniffing the night air. Jesus, John said, trying the door. What's this? Anders ignored him. He sat on the chair, keeping the door blocked, talking to the possum playfully in soft, mothering tones. Who you talking to? John said. Who's being a good boy?